There's somebody who was ready to dive into the EV pool, and I saved them. And I said, what are you doing? All right, what's going on, folks? I'm Spade.
I'm Cam.
And you are watching Two Brothers Auto, back with a brand new Two Brothers Automotive News, episode
TBA
9?
9 of them things.
Hey, we floating. If you don't know, man, all we do is come up here and talk to you guys about anything automotive because we want to keep you in the know. Cam, last episode was kind of fiery. I'm going to let you start off this one.
You let me start off?
Yes, sir.
Let's start the other one.
I'm generous, man.
You're generous? I'm starting off twice. All right. Last episode, I was all in America. This episode, I'm back to my usual. You know what that means? Talking about the GOATs. Talking about the GOATs. Like I said, I gave them a little bashing last time, but they back to being the GOATs today. Talking about Porsche, but this is not good news.
Oh.
Porsche is officially discontinuing the 718 gas model. That means all Caymans, all Boxsters, all variants. Any gas variant, no more. That includes the Spider. That includes the GT4. That includes the GTS. That includes everything.
Wow.
Every 718 gas model is being discontinued in October 2025. Hey,
wow.
Before I get into it, initially you're shocked.
Yeah, I mean, people love the GT4.
People love the GT4. People love the Spider, but no more. Porsche says no more for their gas variants. Now, they had already exited the Euro market in 2024 due to, the Euro legislation. I think it was the final straw that broke it over there was the, I think some cybersecurity laws that came out in Europe that basically killed off all the Caymans and the Boxers in Europe. But yeah, so Porsche had originally planned for the EV replacements to happen in 2026. So it was really supposed to happen a year ago, but development setbacks caused that to be punched to 27. And of course, even more global regulations and Porsche's EV strategy is causing this shift. So I'm sad to see the gas-powered Caymans go. This means that the 911 is the only Porsche that will have gas variant cars.
Wow.
Cayman is now EV. The Cayenne had just gone EV only. And the Macan was the first to go EV only.
Cayenne's EV only too?
Yes.
Jeez.
The 911 is the only way now that you will be able to get a new gas-powered Porsche.
I got a lot of questions, bro. My first question is, before I panic, is it a possibility that these cars will be hybrid? Kind of like the 992.2 GTS? They're going EV. If they're around, they're going to be EV.
From what I've read, I haven't seen anything about a hybrid Cayman. Cayman or hybrid Boxster, I've only seen EV only.
I'm going to tell you what's funny about this. Cayman fans, you guys are conspiracy theorists, and I love it. Cayman fans believe that Porsche has been intentionally throttling the Cayman to keep it from being superior to its 911 big brother. Okay. They claim that Porsche has done this in the gearing. Like, the gearing of the Cayman GT4 is notoriously extremely tall. By second gear, you're doing 80 or 90.
Yep.
So they say that they're doing that on purpose so that car and that platform won't be superior to the 911. I don't know if that's true. Just telling you what Cayman owners say. But hearing this, if you're a Cayman fan, you got to be sad. I don't even know if I'm a Cayman fan, but I'm kind of sad, bro. I like the GT4. I don't think I can fit in it, but I like it.
I love the GT4. It's always that coat of a lot of people say they prefer how it drives because that mid-engine to rear-engine thing.
Yeah.
So I'm saddened by it because I enjoy people if you're not into 911 or if for most people's use case they just can't afford a 911.
Sure.
That Cayman is usually a step down, and it's typically in an affordable, used, of course, and I say affordable loosely, but if you in that market, it's an affordable number to get. It's a lot of car for the money. It's absolutely a ton of car for the money. It's not as much of a pain to maintenance because it's a little bit easier to get into, a little bit easier to work on, albeit being a mid-engine, that's typically not the case for them. But Porsche has worked some magic there for it to not be as pricey on the maintenance side as 911. But yeah, man, it going EV only and it going EV only after this year is tough. So I feel like them GT4s, I feel like we finna see something crazy on that used market. GT4, they were already holding their value pretty well. The 718s were always, they didn't hold their value as good as 911, but as far as compared to the rest of the market, they held the value miraculously well. But I think it's about to go stupid, especially with those high trim gas powered Caymans now that these are coming to end. Like I said, they still producing them till October of this year. Right. So if you getting your hands on a new one, you sitting on gold. You really are, because EV only, it's tough. That's tough. I don't.
Disgusting. It's actually disgusting.
It is disgusting, but I don't know. It's hard for me to be mad at them because, again, this is the way the world is going. They strong arming these folks in the EVs and only. But the question you raised, I am kind of saddened to see they not even going to try a hybrid route with the Cayman. Like, we know the tech is there. They got it. They using it on 911. But again, it might be trying to say it's time for little bro to go on and continue to stay little bro.
That's actually crazy. And last episode, we talked about the fact that Porsche stock was down Q1. We got to keep an eye on Porsche. Yeah. Like and I want to give Porsche some credit. If you are a fan of their brand, like we happen to be, they've met like threats in their lineage. Yeah. There were times when they were threatened with bankruptcy. Like, they have reinvented themselves several times. So I just keep an eye on them and see, what the future holds. But I ain't gonna lie, I really don't like that one. That one kind of made me poopy. Bro.
I say it's not good.
I did not want to start this show off poopy, but I know what'll make me feel better. Let's go to topic 2. Let's talk about Tesla. Last episode, I talked about the fact that Porsche stock was down, but Tesla sales numbers are down. Now, last episode, Cam talked about some political stuff, and maybe that is impacting Tesla. I feel like it has to, right?
I gotta be careful wearing this red hat, white letters.
No, you ain't got to be careful. You know what I'm saying? Let the people know. I don't want nobody
behind me thinking
let the people know who you are.
Different hat. No, you see what's on the hat.
I don't see what's on the hat.
You see what's on the hat.
I don't. But listen, man, in Q1, Tesla delivered 336,000 units, which is definitely not bad. This is globally. Okay. But that's a decrease of 13% compared to the same time period last year, right? This marks Tesla's worst quarter since like Q2 of 2022. So, quite some time. Now, with all that being said, Tesla still, in America anyway, in the EV market, they still got it on lock. I don't know if this is necessarily indicative of things not being great at Tesla, or if it's just the landscape of the way the consumer feels about EVs. At one point in time, people was pounding the glass like, you got to get an EV. Yep. There's somebody who was ready to dive into the EV pool, and I saved them. And I said, what are you doing? I said, you're losing your mind. Your mind is lost. Go find it.
No, what saved me was looking at that final sheet and realizing how close I was to 9/11.
I feel like it was me. I want to take credit for it. I was like, what are
your story sound better in your head.
It does. I was like, what are you doing? But I kind of feel like consumers worldwide are just kind of looking at the EV market not in the same light that we looked at it just 3 to 5 years ago.
Still a lot of after the initial new shiny toy, people realized like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen with these 10 years down the road. Like, what's going to happen with this battery? The battery dial, battery replacements cost 20 bands, and all those stuff. So I think a lot of those unanswered long-term questions has caused a shift in like, hey, like, I'm not finna pay, and especially for what these manufacturers are charging, I'm not finna pay you $100,000, and I don't know if this car can survive a decade. It's not gonna happen.
Now, for what it's worth, I've got friends that own Teslas, love them. I just recently saw a interview with 2 Chainz talking about his Cybertruck. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. It's very hideous.
It was, hey, he just spoke on how he felt. He felt like despite having $500,000 cars in his garage, he felt like his Cybertruck, his Cyber Beast was his favorite vehicle. He was like, it's bulletproof. I ain't got to crank it up. I don't need it to warm up. I just jump in and then go. It's fast. It do 0 to 60 in like 2.3. That's how you feel about it. But I mean, it's definitely something going on. The EVs right now, I think they're at a very important part of the story. I feel like infrastructure hasn't come along as fast as a lot of us thought it would. It is increasing.
More so. I would say it's more so America specific.
Right. Well, I'm speaking.
American.
I should have said that, but I'm speaking from a North America perspective. Yeah. I know the infrastructure is expanding. It just really didn't expand as fast as I expected it to, and I think other people feel the same way.
Yeah, I think it's that. But like I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of it is questions that can't be answered.
Absolutely.
By anything but time. Like I think time is gonna that's gonna tell everything. Like, I think people want to see what a lot of these cars look like when they're 10 years old, when they're 15 years old. And unfortunately for manufacturers, I don't think there's much they can do with that now. Like I said, on one end, they getting help, and on the other end, they kind of not getting help from the legal aspect, because the laws are kind of pushing it, they kind of forcing this thing on. So it's helping them on one end, where it's like, gonna force people to adopt EVs.
Sure.
But it's also gonna force them to get out of making gas powered cars, as we just talked about with Porsche.
Sure.
So it's two-sided issue. And like I said, I genuinely don't think anything is going to help it but time. And it might not help, because if we get to 10 years and all these used EVs start blowing up, I think people just gonna still be clamoring for hybrids and cars that got some remnants of gas in them in some shape, form, or fashion. But
there's also this thing where, like, people typically, if you try to force people to do things, that's the thing that they are gonna resist against more than anything. So, to your point, the more it's government regulations and things pushing people toward EVs, the more, especially car purists like myself, guys who grew up working on cars with our fathers and changing oil, and like you have so many nostalgic memories connected to that it just makes you want a gas car. So even though I might look over at the EV market with some curiosity, if you're telling me like, oh, you're not going to be able to buy it, that makes me want to go and get more gas cars. So, we'll keep an eye on this one, but yeah, that's all I got for that topic.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that one plays out. This one, next topic, Spade, I ain't gonna say it's left field. It's left field from that, but
we know how you do. You the one told us about sausage.
It ain't that left field.
That was left field.
Yeah, that was left field, but this one ain't that.
Okay.
GM is aiding the Secret Service, Spade. You're probably wondering how. GM is aiding the Secret Service in supplying them manual vehicles with manual transmissions, because the Secret Service, they need to learn how to drive manual cars.
Why?
I'm gonna tell you why. Now, if you live in America, you probably like 90% of cars are automatic. Like, why you need to know how to drive a manual? Just go get automatic cars for the Secret Service fleet. That would be the case if the people they were protecting were only in the U.S. Problem is, when they go to other countries where manuals might be a little bit more prevalent, they might be the move, and you got the Secret Service going, their brain can't compute. Like, I don't know what to do here. And it's like, hey, you can't drive around. How can you protect somebody? We sitting ducks. So, to help fix this issue, I said GM has provided a fleet of Cadillac Blackwings.
Whoa.
They've also provided, I think, a few Corvettes. I think there's 2 of them. One being an E-Ray model, some Chevy SUVs, and some other trucks. I didn't know SUVs and trucks were still coming in manual, so that was
I'm lost now, because
I don't know if the trucks themselves are manuals, if they just providing trucks in general. I'm assuming they're manuals because they were included in this article. But yes, they are providing the a CT4 Blackwing, not A, but CT4s and CT5 Blackwings that are manual. And they got like little courses and stuff set up. They got classes with them. I think they're also, sending people out to help teach them how to drive manuals, because I think majority of them probably, they've been driving automatics for the majority of their lives. And it's like, this problem kind of rolls like, hey, I don't know how to drive a manual, and we in a country where they got a lot of manual cars. So what do we do here?
Despicable.
So, I thought this was pretty interesting topic. I know, like, our age gap, like me growing up, I'm 26, I grew up, manuals were
on the way to extinction.
Like they were on the way out. Like, they weren't considered like antique yet, but it was like, if you saw a manual, it was like, okay, like, it's out of the norm. It ain't as extreme as it is now, but like manuals were becoming far and few between. Whereas Spain was growing up, like, manual, that was, would you say it was a majority of cars still back then?
I don't know if it was majority, but I just know, like, in my household, it was mandated by my parents.
Yeah, it wasn't uncommon at all.
Our first car had to be a manual.
Yeah. So, like, I know my dad knows how to drive stick. I think my mom still kind of remembers how to drive stick, but I don't know if my sister knows how to drive stick. I've driven a car stick, but one time. So I'm not finna sit up here and say I know how to drive stick, because I'm pretty sure.
What, people hurt?
No, people weren't hurt, but I didn't go past. I think I made the 3rd gear, and after that I was like,
you get out of first, you was balling.
I don't know if I got out of first, great, but the engine didn't blow up and nobody died, so hey, we were good. But yeah, so just not. And it's a common joke now. If you don't want your car to be stolen, like, the Kia boys when all that stuff was popping, if you don't want your car to be stolen, go get a manual. Learn how to drive a manual, because somebody get in your car and they see that manual gear shifter, they're gonna be like, hey, you got it, champ. Look down there and see them 3 pedals and be like, I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, so Secret Service, they learning how to use 3 pedals and move around.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that one's crazy. That is definitely crazy, Cam. Let me jump to my next topic.
Okay.
I want to talk about Mazda.
Interesting. I don't know if we talked about Mazda. We've mentioned them before.
I don't think so.
I don't think we were dedicated a topic to Mazda.
Mazda has recalled 171,000 vehicles.
And this is how we started off.
This is how we started off for a potential airbag issue.
Yikes.
All right. So
170,000?
171,000. Yes. Right. So there's an issue that may deactivate the airbag, stopping them from deploying during a crash. Not good. Okay. So according to some documents filed by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the recall is split between just over 51,000 Mazda 3s and just shy of 120,000 CX-30s. Owners of the affected cars are being notified to bring their cars in. You know, they're going to reprogram them, replace the sensor, put you back on the road.
I have some questions.
I figured you would. What you got?
Are these new? The new vehicles are used? The mix?
There's a mix.
How old we talking?
That's a good question. I don't know. Let me see.
You don't know? Okay, why are you looking it up? If I was an owner of a car and they said, hey, there's a chance your airbags might not deploy in the event of an accident. Spade, I don't know if me taking that car back to the dealership would give me any more confidence in said car. Like I think that might cause me to start looking like, all right, maybe we should. How much is this car worth on trade-in? Like maybe I should get away from this.
When you gauge, you mean like
not trading in them, but like getting out of it.
Well, the good news is it says here that all of the affected vehicles should still be under warranty. So we're talking fairly
okay. So
new
probably no older than like 2, maybe 3 years.
Yeah. It's not bad. I mean,
the airbag's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not pretty bad. This is a pretty drastic recall.
Just don't be in an accident.
Just don't be in an accident.
Right. If you think you're about to hit somebody, swerve off the road. Like,
So get into a different type of accident?
Side impact might be fine. Maybe the side curtains deploy.
Did they say that?
They didn't.
They didn't say. So we won't know which airbags they're going to deploy.
Just drive slow. But no, obviously, jokes aside, this is, unfortunately, man, recalls happen. And the good news is it sounds like this has been discovered. Mazda's going to make it right. So if you drive a Mazda 3 or a CX-30, hit up your local dealership.
Talk about, I think a news episode, maybe 3 episodes ago, didn't we do most reliable?
I believe so.
And I want to say Mazda was top 10 on that list. I want to say they were top 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, very possible.
So, like I said, every manufacturer has their recalls.
For
so,
sure.
like, I don't harp on manufacturers for having recalls. I harp on what the recall is. Yes. So, like, the Ford Bronco, when the suspension was just falling off the car, pretty drastic. Like, that's unacceptable. Why is it happening? You're saying, hey, your airbags might not deploy.
They might, though. They might do and they might don't.
That is crazy.
Y'all like gambling.
That's not the type of gamble I think even the degenerate gamblers want to take. Hey man, if you're driving, was it Mazda CX-30 and what was the other one? The 3?
Mazda 3, yeah.
If you're driving either one of them cars, if you have the ability to not drive it anywhere but if you ain't driving it to the dealership, get out.
I would not wait on the dealer to contact you.
Go.
Contact them.
Yeah, go. You don't have to wait on them to contact you. If you watching this and you own one of these cars and you have not been contacted, first thing in the morning, take that joint to the dealership. Or if you out and about watching this, stop what you're doing. Do not drive that car no more. Go get an Uber home, get a Lyft home, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an insane recall. And yeah, I hope nobody dies or is injured because of this. Did they say how this concern was raised? I assume somebody had to find out the hard way.
I don't know.
Unless they caught it, unless the engineer was in the back end, like, oh, we done messed up.
I don't know.
But these things typically found after somebody has found out the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I'm hoping there's not too many affected by this physically, because cars affected, but like, anybody's health is impacted because of this recall. That's all we got for that subject.
That's it.
Hey, leave a comment below. Let us know which topic was your favorite. Which one, do you have any strong opinions about them? Or you drive a Mazda and you concerned and you didn't know about this recall until today? Hey, if so, we doing our job. And members of the media and members of the news, it's our job to bring you all this information. But yeah, man, like I said, leave a comment below, like, subscribe, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, of course, don't follow us. You can't follow us on YouTube, but subscribe to us.
Follow us.
Yeah, tell
Figure
everybody.
it out.
Tell everybody. Y'all know the deal. The typical YouTube begging. And until next time, peace.